Support WrestleTalk!
Support each other.
It was Sunday. You know what that means. Except we didn't, did we? Because I don't think anyone actually imagined 2020 drawing to a close like this. Even after all the other stuff that we've collectively endured during this god-awful year, it just keeps on kicking. Now, if you're an active member of the internet wrestling community, then you've no doubt seen the tragic news of the passing of AEW star Brodie Lee, whose real name is John Huber, at just 41 years old. Lee's wife, Amanda, announced the news on Instagram, saying, "The world saw him as the amazing Brodie Lee, formerly known as Luke Harper, but he was my best friend, my husband, and the greatest father you would ever meet. No words can express the love I feel or how broken I am right now." He passed surrounded by loved ones after a hard-fought battle with a non-COVID related lung issue. AEW also confirmed the news with an official statement on their Twitter account that read, "The All Elite Wrestling family is heartbroken. In an industry filled with good people, John Huber was exceptionally respected and beloved in every way. A fierce and captivating talent, a thoughtful mentor, and simply a very kind soul that starkly contradicted his persona as Mr. Brodie Lee. We were privileged at AEW to call John Huber our brother, a friend, and one of our own." Lee had been mysteriously absent from AEW television since early November, with many fans and pundits speculating that he was out injured. He had been written off TV as storyline injured following a dog collar match with Cody Rhodes on the October 7th edition of Dynamite, but it appears that this may have been when the issue with his lungs worsened. Speaking on Wrestling Observer Live, Bryan Alvarez said that he had heard something was wrong as far back as 2 months ago, saying, "About 2 months ago I was told by somebody that Brodie was in the ICU, and this was from somebody that had heard it from somebody else, and neither of us could find anybody else who could confirm this. I was concerned, and for the last 2 months me and this other person were basically asking each other if we had heard anything, and neither had. I know that within AEW there were some people that knew, but there were a lot of people that did not know because his family did not want the word out, so most people were just not told anything." I know that there were other people in AEW that only heard the same thing that me and this other person had heard, and that at some point he had been in the ICU. The last that I heard was 2 months ago. Dave Meltzer also added on Wrestling Observer Radio that Lee's condition was one of those things that the few people who knew kept it quiet. So with no update from AEW and no new reports in the following 2 months, Alvarez, I think like many of us, assumed that Lee would make a big return on Dynamite or Being the Elite.
Which is partly why I think this news has shaken the wrestling community. Not only was Lee taken too young, but as someone who was always touted by fans as having more to give for his entire WWE run, we had only just begun to see him achieve his true potential in AEW as the exalted one of the Dark Order. No matter where you stand on which company used him correctly during his tenure, wrestlers, management, and staff from both sides of the line paid heartfelt tribute to Lee, who by all accounts was beloved backstage. Vince McMahon tweeted to say that the entire WWE family is deeply saddened by the passing of John Huber, known to the WWE universe as Luke Harper, while Triple H lauded him as an amazing talent, but a better human being, husband, and father. AEW President Tony Khan said that he was devastated by the loss of John, adding that John loved wrestling and was great at it. He loved you fans. Cody Rhodes, who had shared the ring with Lee for his final match in AEW, said that was an honour and a privilege and an experience so ferociously humbling, while Wyatt family members Braun Strowman and Eric Rowan also posted heartfelt tributes to the former Luke Harper, with Strowman saying he was one of the most unselfish men I've ever met and an amazing husband and father, and it was always magical being around him with his family because he went from salty old Brodie to loving John. I wish I could walk out to the Fireflies one more time with you, brother. While longtime tag partner Rowan wrote on his Instagram, "John meant more to me than he will ever know. I remember all the loops we had during our years on the road together. He would always look forward to getting home to his family, and after every loop, he would say to me, goodbye forever, because he would want his 1 or 2 days with them to feel like forever. He was one of a kind in everything he did. Great performer, great father, great husband,
great friend, and all-around amazing human. My heart goes out to everyone who was touched by his greatness. And it's testament to Lee that wherever you look on wrestling social media, there are stories of just how kind and empathetic he was, and just how deeply this loss is being felt. One story from Emilio Sparks stood out to me, and it said that Lee and his wife bought him an entire podcast setup when they found out he was using busted gear because they believed in him. And Sparks said on Twitter that the note that came with the gift never leaves his wallet. I think the thing about Brodie Lee is that we all knew he was immensely talented as a performer. That was plain to see in the ring. But from the stories and the tributes being shared across social media over the last day, his compassion and humanity seemingly touched everyone he worked with. Because sure, he could move like a man half his size, but he cared like a man 10 times his size, if that makes any sort of sense. My condolences and the condolences of everyone at WrestleTalk go out to Brodie's family and friends at this time. And if you do want to help Brodie's wife and sons, ProWrestling Tees have said that all proceeds from any Brodie Lee merchandise sales will go directly to his family, so there's a way that you can help out. To end on some lighter news, here's some other things that are happening in the world of wrestling. It's all on fire! Now, 2020 had some odd and surprising wrestling moments for sure, but one that really shocked the system was that Pat McAfee was actually quite good at this wrestling lark. I mean, he debuted as this new heel character, attacking Adam Cole in the summer, leading to a match between the two at NXT TakeOver 30, which was way better than anyone could have predicted, especially me. And then with his new team of Only Lorcan, Danny Burch and Pete Dunne, he took part in War Games. It's kind of led many people to ask, what's next for Pat McAfee? But if Big Daddy Dave Meltzer is anything to go by, not much. Not many things. In the latest Wrestling Observer newsletter, Meltzer notes of McAfee, we're told McAfee will be off TV for a while, adding it was WWE's call, not his. He's also reporting that he could be back by the spring, and humorously adds, he's such a natural at this, and really, if the main roster creative wasn't such a mess, he should be there. McAfee himself jokingly tweeted about this news over the weekend, saying, I think I got fired on Christmas. Meltzer notes that neither party has heat with each other, and this was just McAfee having a bit of fun with the situation. Likely WWE just want to make him special and not overuse him or overexpose him. Now, former AEW Women's Champion Rio has now finished up with Stardom, according to the Wrestling Observer newsletter too, with Meltzer reporting that the company wanted their talent to be exclusive to them. However, Rio still has her deal with All Elite Wrestling. Riddle me that. Trish Stratus told the Post Wrestling that she would like to step inside the ring once again, this time to take on SmackDown Women's Champion Sasha Banks. She talked about their stare down in the 2018 Royal Rumble and noted, I think as a fan and personally, I think that would be an interesting thing to pursue, possibly at some point, maybe possibly down the line at some point, maybe possibly maybe. Never know. With wrestling, let's keep it all mysterious, maybe possibly. Stratus' last match was at SummerSlam 2019, where she lost to Charlotte Flair, which was thought to be her retirement match, but we all know about wrestlers and retirement matches. Don't we, Sean? The December 14th episode of Monday Night Raw was a new low for WWE with just 1.5 million viewers, and the voice of the Attitude Era, Jim Ross, has given his thoughts on why on his Grilling JR podcast. He said they don't have anybody hot. They have nobody that has momentum. Nobody is on the proverbial roll. You can't start, stop, 50-50 booking. I'll beat you with a small package and then you beat me up. How do you get any momentum? He did the job, so I have to give him something back. What bull S-word. Not tonight, not now. It makes no sense. And finally, in the I can't believe this actually happened in 2020 category, remember when WWE promoted a match between Edge and Randy Orton at Backlash as the greatest wrestling match ever, and they went to such great lengths to make it the greatest wrestling match ever. They even piped in crowd noise, altered all the commentary, and even retaped some of the spots, one of which actually led to Edge tearing his triceps just a couple of months since returning to the ring. Do you remember that? Well, according to WWE themselves, it was the third best match of the year in WWE. WWE's wrestling is reportedly so good that the greatest wrestling match ever was not as good as the Boneyard match between AJ Styles and The Undertaker at WrestleMania, nor was it as good as Bayley versus Sasha Banks at Hell in a Cell, which I will give you, it was not as good as that. At least they didn't get beaten by their own WrestleMania match, which I think is still going on. Yeah, they've just made it to Manchester. But what did we rank as our best match of 2020? Well, click on the video on screen now to see Luke, Ollie and Adam count the ways, and click the other video to check out the most insane injuries of the year. I've been El Fakador Laurie Blake, and that was Lucha.